Joining us in just a second is Michael Weinberg, whose new book, Careers in Crime, purports to be a career guide for aspiring criminals. I think the cover will give you a good idea of what we're dealing with here, folks. So with that, let's give a big old Chicago Confidential welcome to Michael Weinberg. Welcome, Michael. How are you? Ski mask, nice touch. You've shocked some people by actually scoring and ranking criminal occupations in your book. Is this just gallows humor, or are you seriously advocating a life of crime?
You know, Dan, we all find ourselves in some really unexpected and difficult circumstances in our lives from time to time. Mm-hmm. And my feeling is that we only limit ourselves when we make negative value judgments about our career choices. And I'm not going to sit here and play judge, but I can tell you that ignorance is a crime that never pays. My mission, very simply, is to arm criminals with the ammunition that they need to make informed career choices.
So what kind of ammo are you offering would-be criminals who buy your book?
Let's see. I think they're 38 hollow points.
Oh, that's the right way to me. So drum roll, please. What exactly is the best career in crime?
Well, Dan, I think it's pretty much no surprise that the quote-unquote ideal career varies a whole lot from person to person. Mm-hmm. I personally don't want to be a talk show host.
Huh.
Yeah. But again, seriously, if you really want to bulletproof your career choices, you're going to have to get to know yourself long before you start exploring work options. But with that said, I will reveal to you, as requested, and all the folks out here in Chicago TV land, that the #1 career in crime in the 2007 Career in Crimes rankings is, can I get that drum roll?
I think we got a drum roll.
Okay. Drug counterfeiter.
Well, that's pretty much a good one on me. What's a drug counterfeiter?
Well, Dan, it's pretty much what it sounds like. Drug counterfeiters manufacture, package, and distribute counterfeit medicines and medical products. Now, worldwide, sales of fake, phony, and mislabeled medicines topped $35 billion last year. Yeah, it's a huge market segment.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Now, right now in the U.S., fake and adulterated medicines and the like are still relatively small, count for, say, 1% of the overall drug supply. But, and it's a big but, internet pharmacies are really changing everything here and fueling absolutely dramatic growth in this sector. Now, right now, American counterfeiters are at work creating everything from substandard clones of Lipitor and Viagra, like these.
Hey, I use those.
Yeah, I bet you do. Use this, because they also make substandard, totally non-effective birth control patches like this contraceptive from Ortho Evra.
Yeah, but what makes this a better job than, say, other careers in crime?
It's a good question. Right now, this occupation offers the golden combination of outstanding pay, low stress, decent work environment, and minimal sentencing risk. That's just critical. Now, in the U.S., we're still seeing multi-million-dollar drug counterfeiting cases being prosecuted as misdemeanor violations. They're getting them for truth in labeling laws, they're getting them for intellectual property, but nothing very harsh. Now, the Food and Drug Administration has been turning up the heat on counterfeiters lately, but Careers in Crime is projecting strong continued growth in this field.
What other new crime waves should we be watching out for?
Well, Dan, cigarette smuggling is actually a very hot career option right now. If you look closely at my little addiction pack here, you can see that these are genuine cancer sticks, but this tax stamp is a pretty obvious fake. Now, a semi-truck is going to hold almost 50,000 cartons of cigarettes.
Wow.
So with that kind of numbers, one truckload bought cheap and sold high can yield a profit of, get this, $2.5 million.
Okay, now you got me interested. What's to stop a go-getter like myself from, say, cruising over in Indiana and doing a little cigarette smuggling?
I'd have to say not much, Dan. You know, there are actually lots of moms and pops in this field, just like yourself. But the biggest operators, the professionals, are moving 100 million cigarettes or more a year. Yeah. And these top pros they're not independents by and large. They're largely affiliated with major crime families and more increasingly, major terrorist groups. You might be surprised to know that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms in the last few years alone brought 8 separate cases against tobacco smugglers with links to Hamas, Hezbollah, and, ta-da, Al-Qaeda.
Michael, the criminal careers you've mentioned so far seem awfully exotic. What about some of the good old-fashioned crimes?
Well, there's no doubt that emerging occupations did great this year in our rankings. But the good news is 5 out of 10 of our top-rated occupations were actually very traditional criminal pursuits. And a prime example of this is rustler at number 6.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. Well, you see, Dan, horses, cattle, and other valuable livestock are extremely difficult to safeguard in America's open outdoors. Now, when Farmer Brown is around, Elsie here is pretty much up for grabs. Fair game for anyone who wants to take her.
So I just grab a lasso and we're good to go.
Ride 'em, cowboy. Now, actually, the savviest rustlers use motorcycles and herding dogs, and they actually truck the stolen livestock to out-of-state auctions where it's pretty much no questions asked. But, as you said, virtually anyone can grasp the basic principles of rustling and get involved with a time-honored crime. So, in fact, it's so easy to get into this that I heard a pretty inspiring story last year. There's a 16-year-old kid in California who's such a go-getter that he single-handedly rustled 8 cattle from a 76-year-old rancher. I think that pretty much shows that crime really does bring the generations together.
I guess that's one way to keep the kids down on the farm.
Well, Dan, criminal activities that involve nature and the environment are really staging quite a comeback in the U.S. these days, there's no doubt. And another great example of this is illegal wildlife poaching. Now, worldwide, the trade in illegal game and wildlife, pelts, coats, furs, traditional medicines, totals more than $10 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, and America is really fast becoming a major supplier of illegal game. Let me give you a bit of an overview of some of our domestic endangered species and the markets for them. Now, this here is the Papilio. I always forget the name of this butterfly. It's Papilio indrapamentensis, yeah.
I'd have a tough one with that, too.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one. Now, these will bring about, say, $500 from an ethically challenged collector.
Sure.
Now, this is an entry-level target. You need a net, some patience, pretty much it.
Yeah, so I could do it.
You could do it. Here's one for you. Now, these black bear are going to take quite a bit more firepower to take down.
Sure.
But the gallbladders on these alone are worth about $10,000 on the Asian market for traditional medicines. And if you factor in the head, the claws, you could be looking at a $20,000 payday for one of these babies.
Well, that's more than human kidneys.
Now, at the very top end of the pay scale, we've got these mature trophy animals, specifically like this bighorn sheep here. Now, this can mean $30,000 in your pocket.
Michael, what other trends do you see emerging on the American crime scene?
We should probably say North American crime scene rather than American, because the real blockbuster story here is the unprecedented rise of Canadian crime over the last decade. Now, our neighbors to the north have made absolutely enormous inroads in auto theft, telemarketing fraud, identity theft, and especially in marijuana cultivation. Now, right now, Canada boasts more than 50,000 indoor growing facilities, and I've brought along some worksite photos that I think would give you a bit of a sense of the sheer scale of this industry. Now, these are from a 60,000-foot operation in an abandoned Molson brewery in Barrie, Ontario. This was a super grow, and it actually had a 50-bed dormitory and more than 30,000 pot plants hidden inside of its beer vaults.
Well, this has certainly been enlightening, but unfortunately we are running out of time. Any closing thoughts you'd like to leave us with, Michael?
I'd just like to tell everybody out there to keep shooting for their dreams.
And that's a wrap.